found that button where you press your chat and it goes out of the way of all the rest of the screen.
So it's spread quite a way across the country. The downfall with that is obviously meeting up, exchanging birds, etc. It's not just over the road. So that's the downfall. The upside is it can cover quite a lot of the country with regards to showing. So I can cover the south, I can cover the east, and my dad can cover more of the Midlands, the north, and into Wales. So we do get to a lot of shows through the course of the year, as a lot of people on here will know. And that sort of helps with the fact that we do pick up quite a few CCs with the table, the BS table shows. We're both, myself and my father, we're both judges, BS judges. We've been judges for a number of years now. We do like to try and get around the show thing, whether it's not showing but judging as well. Obviously, this year's a little bit different, unfortunately. But hopefully, we'll get back on the show dates as soon as everybody can. That is really one of the main things that drives us is that competitive spirit that comes with that part of the hobby. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep trying to give you a little bit of a tour around the bird room. So I'm going to pick up my iPad and we're going to try and spin around. Hopefully this will work okay, so we'll give it a go. Okay. So I'll tell you what, I'll start at the front. I'll start at the door. So to come through the door, basically I've got a room of show cages, breeding cages across the opposite wall, as you can see along the wall there. And then I also have a set on the other side over there. In all, in this aviary, I have 44 breeding cages. I don't always use all of them every year. It very much depends on what the bird setup is with regards to what the breeding team looks like. But that's what I've got available to me in this aviary alone, is 44 breeding cages. Each breeding cage is the same setup in this aviary. So what you've basically got, to go to this side, so what you've basically got is a stainless steel tray that's removable for easy cleaning, and then obviously wooden shutters between the cages. And then if I go down to the nest box, you can see the nest box down there, an external nest box, which is a box or in a box, all wooden in this aviary. So that's the breeding setup in itself. What I then have in here is stock cages. So I tend to operate a 3-stage rotation, if you like, of the young. So what I tend to start with is young birds in a stock cage. So for example, there's young birds in the 2 stock cage, a double stock cage there. Once I start seeing them molting, or I think they're starting to get a little weight on them and ready to move, I'll then go into the small push around that I've got over here. Give them a bit more room, build up a bit more strength, and then when I think they're ready, they'll then go into the push around here. So you can see over here, just step back, I've got a double push around. So I've had those a couple of years now. Fixed flight system that I had, more push around system, which I think is a lot better, a lot easier to clean. I always do with the top one, young birds in there during the breeding season, and then the bottom is really for the excess sort of movement where I can. The thing I have with the top push around is it also can have a shutter that goes between the two, which means I can actually split it into 2 halves if needed, 2 smaller halves. That's quite beneficial, especially running up to the breeding season, because I quite like to split cocks and hens. So it makes it easier, gives me more option, more flight space to split the cocks and hens that I'm planning to pair up just before I put them in the breeding cage. The only other flight I have in this aviary is the full height one there in the corner. Now originally when I put the aviary in, it actually on the wall, you can just about see the change in the tiles at the bottom. I did have a full height flight all the aviary, but I thought I was a waste of space. I wasn't really using one for height flight. I much prefer the half flight. So this is the only real flight I've got. I really just use that for sales. At the moment, that is just birds that I've sorted to go at some point. You can see seed bins at the end of the aviary. I'll put different varieties of seed around the seed. And that's pretty much the extent of it in here. You'll see I have extractor fan system, so I have one extractor fan pumping out and one extractor fan over the other side blowing fresh air in. And that's on a timer that comes on twice a day through the course of the day. So that's the aviary. I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to try and show you the one next door. So we're going to lose the bird for a minute. Okay, so if I just move next door. Oh, that's better, I can hear myself now. So you can see that the aviary is basically wooden aviaries. Mine's 22 by 12, I think it is. And Emma's is, I think it's about 18 by 10, something along those lines. Same similar setup though. And what you can see in here, very similar. So in here, there's 21 breeding cages. The only difference is they're plastic, with plastic pull-out trays. Similar nest boxes, external nest boxes, box in the box. And again, similar thing, double push around on this side. Now you'll see that on this aviary, it's very much more around recessives and dilutes in this aviary, as you can see in the flight. And we'll talk more about the birds shortly as I bring on them as we go through. Again, extractor fan systems again, built into this one, but same system. So they're the aviaries. Amazingly, I didn't lose you either. All right, I'm just going to set it back up again. Any questions as we go through that?
I wasn't ready for questions, but yeah, about the let's have a think. Have you got any questions about the aviary setup? I suppose I did have some questions.
I've got a question.
Sorry,
I've got a question for Adrian.
Right, go on then. That's from Mark.
Yeah, Adrian, you don't have any external flights. Is there a reason for that, or what's your view on external flights?
To be honest, so I haven't got a lot of experience of them. My dad had an external flight for a number of years when we first started. I think they're pretty constructed space, but to be honest, I don't think they get a lot of use. Certainly our experience was we didn't get a lot of use. So I don't really, it's not something really with M10. My dad's now got rid of his, and he's actually extended it now into the main bird room, so just extended his aviary. I know a lot of people do. I can see Dave down there in the corner. I know Dave or Silly Alec has a lot of external flights. So I think it's their own. I don't think it's detrimental not having them. Yeah, I don't really. It's not really something that we've ever used, to be honest.
All right, we've got a question now. Sorry, Mark, was there anything else you want to follow up on that one?
No, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, I've got an external flight and an internal flight that are connected, and my birds tend to spend a lot of time early morning in the flight outside, but then retreat until later on in the day when they come back out and spend time again. So you're absolutely right. During the daytime, sort of after 11 o'clock and before 4 o'clock, they tend to be inside.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a thank you, Mark. We've got a question from Kevin Roger, and he said, "How do you manage the birds and the partnership across the 3 bird rooms?" I know you've only got 2 sort of 2 different places because 2 of your bird rooms are in one home. And so how do you manage that, the birds and the partnership? I'm not sure quite what Kevin means. Maybe I could unmute him and he could tell you himself.
I think I understand.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Let me try and answer what I think I understand. So we try and operate one stud where we can. So as far as we're concerned, it's a similar family across both areas, whether it be here in Bedford or at my dad's in the Midlands. The only real exception to that is the recessions and dilute. We try where we can at the start of the breeding season to pair the birds up as one stud. So, and if that means the best, some of the best birds that I've bred this year goes to my dad's because he's got better hens, or vice versa, or the white hens, then that's what we'll do. So we very much operate as one stud. I've been quite fortunate, I think, this year because I've managed to bring quite a few the better birds down here for breeding, or certainly a few of the better birds down this year. But in previous years, it will go the other way. So we do try and operate one stud as much as possible. And that's why I maintain the bloodlines, one bloodline as much as possible as well.
Great. Kevin, have you got anything to say? Anything to come back on that one?
No, that's fine, John. Just a general question to get the ball rolling with some how they set up what they do.
All right, that's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. We've got a question in from Simon Roberts. I think what we do, I'll just take them as they come. So Simon says, could you tell us what your biggest achievement and biggest disappointment is in the hobby, or has been?
So the biggest disappointment is virtually every breeding season. And this one being no exception. I mean, if I take it a little bit more serious than that,
yeah.
Probably most recently, I don't know if some of you would be aware. A couple of years ago, I bred a very good double-factored Spangle hen. Probably the biggest disappointment was just before the club show showed at NBA. She got best breeder, fantastic, but she pulled herself apart and couldn't get to the club show. So that was quite disappointing. So she's now died, unfortunately. So she never got to the club show. That's quite disappointing from my personal perspective, but that's the way it goes. Biggest achievement. Yeah. That's a hard one. It's probably a little bit corny of an answer, but it's probably the sort of the step changes we've been making after years in the progression that we're making with the quality of the bird. I think we were plateauing quite a bit for a number of years. In the last few years, we've made quite a step change. We're nowhere near where we want to be, but certainly we managed to make some right decisions and made a bit of a step change. So I think that was, on a good perspective, and as a partner perspective, I think that's quite a big, for us personally, that's quite a good step forward. It's a hard question, really. I don't know. Not when the club's here yet, so what can I say?
Yeah, well, the hard questions are always the best. I'm not sure if Simon's in. I haven't seen Simon. Anyway, we've asked a question for him. Got a question in from Kevin Pestle. Yeah, this is another one to put you on the spot, really, Adrian. He said first thing he says is sorry to put you on the spot. He said, but he's curious to know. He said, having Dad Trevor on the BS General Council, do you agree with things that get passed or challenge him on General Council decisions?
I'm not on the council, so I don't really get involved, to be honest.
So yeah.
So I'm not really privy to what goes on the council, and I'm not really. Do I agree with everything that's passed? No, I have my vote, and some I agree, some I don't. But yes, that's part of it. It's a voting system. But we don't. It's not something we really talk about a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it starts to get political, doesn't it? So maybe that's good reason not to.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, back to questions that are easier to answer. I think you've already answered this. What varieties you keep? So we won't go back to. We won't ask that. But
well, what I'll do for the varieties, what I'll do is I'll go through those a bit more detail later. So I'll put a few in the showcase.
That's great, thank you. I've got a question here from Kevin Eatwell, and he says, how close do you pair your birds?
Probably the closest would be cousins. Closer than that. Maybe maintain half brother, half sister, but that's really, we don't go close, that's not that often. So more often probably cousins, that sort of thing. Certainly no closer than half brother, half sister.
All right, a question from me then on following on from that. Do you outcross much?
Yes. Yeah, we do. So we do outcross. It depends what we mean by outcross. So we bring a few birds each year. We always try and bring a few birds each year. But we always try and bring them in where we can from the similar bloodlines. So that leads me quite nicely into. For a number of years, our main bloodline, which was probably similar to a lot of people, was Huxley and Martin. The Stoke-on-Trent area, Huxley and Martin, Balkers. I've still got the back off at the showcase. So we've still got some remnants of that bloodline around. I mean, just give me a second. So my line, for example, that was quite.
How many birds would you bring into outcross a year?
A dozen across the two studs. Maybe a few more if we're short on hens. Yeah, probably. I'd say probably around. It's slightly different because obviously we've got a number of varieties. So, for example, last few years I brought in a couple of, and then obviously we want to bring in the normals, etc. So I'll bring in a couple of extra because of the variety as well. But yeah, probably around that sort of number. It depends really. We won't buy for the sake of it. But we tend to go to similar sort of bloodline. So as I was saying, we tend to go down the Huxley and Martin line. That's very much where we work for a good number of years. My double fat spangle I was just referring to, and the whole spangle line was quite heavy on one side of that line, which is Huxley and Martin. So that's where it really. That was there for a long time, and we obviously therefore we buy birds in from Alan, Chris, the Balkers, etc. The people around Stoke. More recently, like saying with a few people I know, we've changed and we've actually gone a little bit more European. So if you think of people, well, obviously we spent a lot of time after we stopped buying a lot of birds off the Huxley Martin. And from Harry Hockaday. So a lot of our birds then went down Harry Hockaday line, merging in with the Huxley Martin. And up until recently, for obvious reasons, that was our main source of outcross with Harry. As well as for the last couple of years, we've also bought a few birds in for Martin Taylor in Belgium. So they're really been in recent years the two main sources of outcross. Obviously, obtaining birds from Harry is not really possible anymore, as is backed up. So really, what we've done this year is we've just tried where we could to try and still get some of the birds in with his blood. So where we knew birds from his being or they've had this in recent years, we tried to get a couple in from those people just to try and keep that bloodline going. So that's really been the main focus this year. Coming into this year, we're trying to get any more birds at that line, and again, Martin Taylor. So that's really the main line of the main origin of what you call outcrosses. Albeit they're all related in terms of there being the same school.
Yeah. So would you say that at the moment that you're looking at blood above features, or are you going more features that you're looking for, more important than the blood?
Sorry, John, can you say that again? I just broke up.
Yeah, I was just wondering which you think is more important to you at the moment, whether you're looking at getting outcrossing, whether you're looking at getting whether you're looking for features mostly, or whether it's more important for to get the bloodline that you're looking for.
A little bit of both. Main, at the minute, we've tried to hold to the bloodline as best we can. But we've mainly done that because we are looking at the features that Harry had in the mind. So away from the Huxley market style, trying to keep that level of backstool and that sort of style on it, but trying to put a little bit more length of feather, a little bit more dense of feather. They're the really two things from a feature perspective. So if I go down, let's just have a look at. I'll put a recessive in the cage. We'll go back. I'll show you what sort of thing I mean. They used to be good.
Only they were trained on proper perches, eh?
Yeah, if only we had a perch that got the bird to the front of the cage, yeah? There we go. So it's not. So that's a recessive that I brought in from Martin Halen. Since I brought him in, he's actually lost his flight to one wing, but irrespective of that, it's very much the it's a little bit more like density of feather. It's probably not easy to tell in a showcase like that, but that's really the sort of thing that I've been trying to bring in over the last couple of years. Certainly, not just in the recessives, but in other areas, in the mainstream birds as well. We're just trying to get a little bit more denser in that around that. Well, across the whole bird, but certainly around that head, around the head.
And do you find that the continental birds lack blow?
No, but then, well, it depends who's, in some areas, some people, yes, but I look at Martin's and Harry's. No, I don't think they're lacking blow.
Okay.
They've got a different style of blow. So they haven't got the back score that throws that feather forward, as is always interesting. So they've got that denser blow that forces that feather forward. And that's what I really quite like.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to have to be a quick one. And then what I thought we'd do is if we maybe ask one quick question, if I can find a very quick one, and then it'll be 8 o'clock, and then maybe we could come back to you, Adrian, to carry on going around the bird room, and we'll take some other questions later.
Yeah.
Quick one then. How many cages do you use between the three of you in the partnership?
Between the three of us, what is it? 65. If that could answer that for me, 65. We would see about 100 around that. Maybe a few, or at least have that option to us anyway.
And how many birds would you breed a year then?
350. Maybe. What we ready for?
Well, I think it's 8 o'clock. I think it's 8 o'clock. Should we all go outside and have a clap, those that want to, and we'll catch you back in 5 minutes. All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you, everyone. Catch you back in a bit.
Okay, John's gone to clap. So if you guys want to get a drink or a cup of tea, or go and shout at your poor quality recessive pies in the shed and wish they were as nice as Martin Halen's, I guess you can do that for 5 minutes and then come back, okay?
If you're making a cup of tea, Kevin, can I have no sugars and just milk? Thanks.
No sugars, just milk. Yeah, I can do that. I'll organise that for you.
I like the way that we're able to hear John's clapping and all kinds of other noises. I don't think anybody else can turn their mute on or off, can they? No, it's just me talking to myself.
I can.
Ah,
I can
hello.
do it, George.
Who have we got? I can't see you. Where are you?
This is Tony from California.
Oh,
George.
yeah, there you are. I can see you, man. Yeah, yeah. Cool, man.
Yeah, I've been doing homework with my little girls. It's 12 p.m. here, so tomorrow they're going to turn in their homework, so that's why I don't want to be a distraction putting my video on.
So is that 12 lunchtime, or I guess?
12 lunchtime. 12 lunchtime.
Yeah. Cool. All right, yeah.
What time is it over there? You're in Scotland, right?
Scotland, yeah, and it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock at night. So my little one's in bed. Thankfully.
How's life out there?
You know, it's getting warmer now. It's, you know, I can wear a t-shirt outside.
Wear a t-shirt. You haven't been wearing a t-shirt. I've got your tea ready for you. Look, here you are. Look, I'm going to put it up there.
So I don't normally have a straw, but thanks for the
Yeah,
offer.
well, that's the only way I can get it to the screen.
Ah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's 3. Yeah. I'll drink it for you.
That's very kind, very kind.
Has John finished clapping it? Is he back?
No, well, we could hear him clapping, and I decided that it'd be better if I spoke, even if I don't really have many people to speak to.
So how is it nice and warm? You've had 2 nice warm days?
Well, a few days ago it was nice. Yesterday was nice. Today is not so nice. That's not bad, but you know, it's been raining a bit, so but yeah. I got my fan fitted to the bird room, so it's now like a wind tunnel. It's now like a wind tunnel. It's much better. It's only taken 10 years for me to do this.
So this is your inlet fan or your outlet fan?
I've just got an outlet because it's a massive. It's got a massive capacity. So is all I need to do is open the window at varying degrees to edit through flow.
Your mic's gone a bit there, George.
We're allowed to say shit or not?
We can't hear you, so it's all right.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got it now.
Oh, right, that's better. So yeah, it's just an outlet fan. It's got like 2,500 cubic meters worth per hour of air, which is 20 times the amount, or 25 times the amount that I need. So all I have to do is adjust the window on the opposite end of the shed, depending on how much open it is. Totally changes the through flow of air, and there's no need for an inlet at all.
I've only got one fan in mind, but when it's going, I can tell where all the leaks are in the shed. In the winter, you just stand and see where the cold air's coming in. And think, I better block that hole up.
Yeah.
So I suppose that means it's working. If it's drawing air in from everywhere else, doesn't it? But yeah.
Mine's very much going to be like that. I've got I had a flat roof on it, so last winter it started leaking really badly. So I put a wooden frame on top of it and threw a polytunnel sheet over it for now. But it did mean I was able to get like 200 mil of insulation in the cavity that was. So it what a massive difference in heat in there just in the winter. So I know that's going to be difficult to deal with the fan system now extracting so much. But I have decided I'm going to try and build. I've got an air vac and it sucks out a lot of dust. But you need to clean it all the time. It's a bit of a pest. So I'm going to make an air vac, but like a much bigger one, the size of a tea trolley. You know, the trolleys that Nicola and everybody else has are in their bird rooms. So
the paint trolleys, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to make an air vac the size of that, which will just it'll be cleaned out every 2 days or something, but it'll properly clean the air because the air vac is just too small. I'd need like 3 of them, 4 of them. So.
Yeah.
That's my plan for winter time.
Cool.
I don't know if we're. Oh, John's still out, is he? He's not in his seat.
John's still out. He's not in his seat. Adrian looks like he's feeding the birds or catching birds. There's a nice yellow face in the cage, which I could spotlight for everybody
Oh yes, I see it.
while we're waiting. That's quite a nice looking bird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't
yeah,
say.
that's beautiful.
I wouldn't say no.
I like a nice looking bird.
Oh, John's back.
I'm back.
Then on that note, I shall mute my mic and let you guys crack on with your meeting.
Okay, I'll unmute my Adrian if I can.
Sorry,
Adrian, you're back in now. They've all finished clapping.
Okay, sorry, I was going to hit mute and unmute at the same time.
And I've spotlighted the show cage as well, so that you can chat about the yellow face.
Yeah, so I've put another yellow faces. That's another one of the smaller Huxley and Market lines. In fact, I think that might actually be off the grade. It is off the grade. I just put it earlier, actually. So what I'd do is, because I'm sure from what I gather, there's a range of people on the call, is I'll just go through a little bit around the feeding regime that I do. I'm going to show you how I mix up my soft food. Not whether that's of interest to you, but what I would do. And then once we've done that, ask any questions around feeding, and then I'll just go and ask a few birds up and we can talk about the birds. That's what I thought would be the next thing to do. So from a feeding perspective, water, typically through most of the course of the year, I just use plain water. Don't tend to put anything in the water because unless I'm treating the birds or something. I know my dad's using 8 years old at the moment, but I don't. Typically, I don't put anything in the water. Seed, I've struggled a little bit with seed this year to get something I'm happy with. I don't know why. I've had a few problems with breeding, and I just felt that the seed wasn't really what I wanted. So I've experimented with a few different seeds through the course of the year. What I've sort of settled on now is I do a mix 2 varieties together. So I've gone to Vertilager, which I think is quite a good quality seed from what I've seen. And then I've gone to Bayer, which you get through Blind Severs. I think that's also quite a high quality seed from what I've seen. So I think they're a bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it for the birds. So that's what I now feed them feed wise. Is a mixture of Vertilager and Bayer seed. And regarding soft food, so they have soft food. I try and give it all the way through the year. I get a little bit lax when I'm not breeding. But certainly when I'm breeding every day. And the soft food mix that I do is the same all the time. It's predominantly based. It's got a very heavy fresh carrot base. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to very quickly show you what I mixed up. And this is what I've been doing for the last few years. So this is what I'm going to do. So this one I've got you doing. Carrot in a bowl, all chopped up. I typically go for about a bag of carrot a day. So it's quite heavy on the carrot side. And then what I tend to add to it, is I'll pick the stubs up. So I quite like the green. I do a scoop like this of parsley, so dried parsley. So that goes in. You can tell I've not fed the bird yet. That's what I'm doing. Then you've got then I put another mint. So a slightly smaller but a scoop of mint goes on top. Then something that we've used over the last year or so, which is a larger scoop. So I use one of these little shovels, and that's a scoop of mine's gone black. Dad, you can step in if you want. Garvo, that's it, Garvo. So a bag of Garvo, which is very high in protein. So high in protein, with a Garvo goes in there. Garlic, I like to use garlic granules. So small scoop, little scoop of garlic granules. So egg food, so standard off the shelf dry egg food mix. So I think we use garden feathers, so garden feathers, a couple of those. So again, these little shovels, a couple of those of the egg food, dry egg food. Then this is something I use, my dad doesn't. Sorry, turmeric, which is basically cider vinegar oil, but it's in little pellets. So a small scoop, that's the size of the scoop that comes with it.
Okay.
And so one of those goes in. Phrases. So
Adrian, what was that? That last small scoop that you used, what was that? Sorry, I didn't quite hear it.
I'll show you, hang on. There you go, turmeric. Okay, see that?
Yeah, so it's a turmeric of some sort.
Yeah, so it's an apple cider vinegar basically based pellets system. So it's got turmeric, linseed oil, that kind of thing to put in. So I put one of those, scoop those in. Then I put a little scoop again of the phrases, which is very high in multiple oils. And then finally, just to thicken that out, and just thicken it out to moisture. Is some dry cereal. So I put a couple of those dry cereals in there. So the only things that are missing, because I've run out, I always put calcium in. I put quite a large scoop of calcium in every time as well. So obviously the calcium, and I also put seaweed in. So I normally put a small scoop of seaweed in as well. And that's it. And that's what we get every day, with the exception of to go on top of that. Is a couple of scoops of naked oats. Mix it all together. And that's where it ends up like. You can see that. So again, averagely moist, lots of granules in there. Just range of the different things. That's what and that's what they get every day. And that tub there, that'll probably that'll last a day. So they'll go through that tonight.
It's a very dry mix, Adrian. Unless I missed it at the beginning, do you add a lot of vegetables to that, or do you a little bit of water maybe, or what?
The start of it with a whole bag of carrot.
Oh, carrot.
A lot of moisture to it, so it's actually quite moist.
Okay.
Everything else that goes in is dry. So yeah, everything else that goes in is dry, but the carrot itself is quite moist. And because I put quite a lot of carrot in, overall it's quite a moist. I think it's quite a moist mix.
Is there any reason why you just go for carrot as a veg rather than the mixture of I don't know, many others?
No, not really. I occasionally add sweet corn. I do on occasion. I have on occasion added a bit of beetroot, but no, not really. It's just carrots is an easy one. They seem to love it, and it just seems a good base to me. So I'll just predominantly that and sweet corn as well. I do
Yeah.
quite a few, especially the baby whole sweet corn. Chop those up as well. I do do that quite often as well.
Thank you.
So that's the feeding that I do every day. Obviously, in the ramp up to the breeding season, what I'll add to that is some sort of additive. So for a number of years, we used this 30 Vic. We've got away from that now, and I'm now using Kevin Board's product to try and get the birds revved up for breeding, if you like. And to be honest, it's not a plug, but certainly in the last few years, since I've changed to the Kevin Board product, the fertility and it's been exceptionally good. I have to be exceptionally good. Certainly the last 2 or 3 years, the fertility that I've had has been really, really good. Okay, so before I go and catch some birds up, any questions around the feeding?
Anybody got any questions around feeding at all? Anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question? I'll have just a quick look on the...
Yeah, I'll ask a question, Adrian, please. How often do you feed that soft food mix to your birds?
Every evening, every single day, every evening.
And how much would you give to each pair? Would it be like a tablespoonful, a finger straw?
So if it's just the breeding pair, then yeah, just a finger draw. If they've got young, then what we tend to use. So as soon as they start getting, I'll move these. I'll fill one of those up.
Sorry, I missed that, Adrian.
So okay. Yeah, so that's what I'll get. As soon as they start getting young cats, I'll up it to a cup. But when they just when it's just a breeding pair, then they'll have a finger draw.
Thank you.
And then obviously I'll give them the flights get it as well. So the flights will get a good handful in a pot as well every night.
Well, I've got lots of questions, but they're not really to do with the food side of things. So I don't know if you've got anything else in mind, what you want to do, Adrian, and then we'll go on to maybe, I don't know what you call them, all-round questions later on when you feel we've gone round and had a good look.
I've got a food-related question, John.
Thank you. Yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
What was the protein source you were offering in your food again, Adrian? And do you know what percentage protein it's got in it?
I can go check the bag down in the house. The manufacturer's Garvo. What you going to have a quick look? I can quickly get into that.
Yeah, I was just trying to have a look online for it.
Okay, there's different variants of it. So give me 1 second. I want to get back.
How are we spelling it, and then I can find it?
Sorry?
How do you spell it, and I can just find it and tell everyone?
It's Garvo.
Okay. Oh, there's all sorts. Look, chicken. Yeah, you better find your bag then, because it could be any of this. There's loads of it.
I presume that's not the fruit then, guava, no?
You're fruit crazy, you are, John.
I know. I was just wondering what I should get out of the fridge next.
Fruitcake.
I don't think I've got any.
That's a shame. It's my favourite.
I might have a Christmas cake. Not a Christmas cake, a Christmas pudding. That's a fruit cake almost, isn't it?
Christmas pudding will probably still be viable, John. They normally last forever.
Absolutely.
I wonder if he uses millet sprays and whether he soaks them or not.
Well, that's the next question then, Tony.
If it's Japanese millet or red millet sprays.
What do you use, Tony?
And John?
Oh, he's back. Oh, no, he's not back.
No. He's lost his Garva.
I can't find it. Sorry. I can't find it, but I can send the details over if you want.
Yeah, afterwards, send us the a link or something.
Yeah.
Tony's got a question about millet sprays. Tony, ask away.
Hello, Adrian. I'm just going to ask whether you use millet sprays at all, and if so, if there's a preference to Japanese millet or red millet, and whether you soak them or not.
But yeah, always use millet sprays. Always. Preference, probably the red, if I'm honest. But obviously it's expensive, or a lot more money. If I have the red, I'll always soak it. If with these, I don't. That's the one a bit white, but at the moment I've only got the white, and I'll get these. They'll get handfuls of these every night. But yeah, if I can get hold of it and we've got something, I'll show the red.
And
I think the red comes out better once it's been soaked.
And what do you soak your red millets in?
Dad, are you on?
I personally use vanadine.
Yeah, I have used vanadine. So if I'm not even saying yeah, I'll use vanadine as well.
Yeah, thanks very much, Adrian.
It's one of the two.
We've got they're talking about food. Yeah, one more question here about food. Do you soak seed? So do you germinate seed and feed it?
No, I'm not really. How does it go with it, to be honest? No.
Can I ask why? Because a lot of people say, well, I think it's true to say a germinated seed is worth a lot more than a dry seed. So
yeah, probably is. It's also a lot more work.
That's true.
So whether you want to call it laziness or whether you want to call it just it does get, with 60 odd breeding cages, etc., it does get quite a lot of work. So I try and keep it down to a minimum as best I can. So no, I just haven't. It's not something I've really adventured with, to be honest. I'm sure you're probably right. I'm sure they do get a lot out of it, but I haven't. No.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a case of being right or wrong. I mean, there's probably lots of things that we could feed that are more worthwhile for the birds. But as you say, there's only so much we can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it is a balance. It's a hobby at the end of the day. So you try to do as best you can for the birds, and put as much time into it as you can. But I'm sure, once you've got a full-time job and kids as well, you do as much as you can do. So
and then there's the fishing. You've got to find time for fishing, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm like my dad. I don't get time to go fishing.
And drinking at pubs. I've seen all your photographs.
I always find time for drinking, John.
Right, what are we going to do now then? Do you want to go round? Do you want to do anything else, or I've got loads of questions when you've had enough.
I think seeing some of the birds in the showcase would be nice, and talking about families and colours.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to run through a number of varieties, put a couple in a showcase, one or two in at a time, just to say a few words about them, and then just rotate them through fairly quickly, because that's what you do if you're here on Asia visit. So that's what I was going to do quite quickly. Obviously, ask any questions as you go through them. So I've already mentioned the yellow face, the adult yellow face top, predominantly hooked in Marsh's bloodline. So you obviously got to bear me a minute or two while I just can catch them up. I'll go down the colour classification. So a couple of greens, slightly different family line. Obviously, the one on the perch is down on flight. The other one isn't. I assume you can see those, so I can't. There we go. So a couple of light green. So the one on the perch, that's got a bit more of the European line in it. It's an old Asian bird. The one that sprints a little bit, ironically, although it's got relatively long feather, nice big mass. Actually, it hasn't got any European in it at all. Which is quite ironic, really, because that's it has got quite a bit of long feather, which is what I've been trying to get hold of. But certainly the one at the back. Has got a bit more European line in it. We've got a good family of that light green family at the back, and that really has stemmed into quite a few of the better birds, especially around the normal greens. So my dad's bred quite a few nice dark greens a year or so ago, and that's the family that's thrown those out. And I'll go and get the fact. I'll tell you what, I'll get the dark greens, one of the dark greens. I'll leave them in there. So from that family, that with a bit of obviously picking the right sort of hen, we managed to get a little bit more direction of feather on it, a bit more length feather on it. That's not by no means the best of the dark greens. I think that's probably the second or third of the best of brothers. But he's bred into quite nice birds this year, actually. It's nice to have some good dark patches as well. So that's I think that's his uncle. I think. That's a couple of greens. What we haven't got many of, although obviously my dad's been quite a bit winning last year with a grey green, but we haven't actually got many grey greens. No, I haven't got any. I've only got one here. So I can't put a grey green in the cage, but and as a result, I haven't got many greys either. But I've certainly got blues.
All right, nobody likes grey greens.
So these are two very different style of birds. So you've got a normal sky on the left. Very, and he's on the right now. Very nice shape on him. But he's a little bit small, so he struggles a little bit on the show bench because of his size. Not that I've got him out much stuff here, but just a little bit. Whereas on the one on the right, it's a bit of a beat. But he does have a little bit of he's a long bird, but he does have a little bit of a long tail as well. I wouldn't say he's a long flight, in my opinion, but he has got, well, he's definitely not a long flight, but he has got a bit of a long tail. And I know that raised a few eyebrows last year when he was on the show bench. But you can see the one on the left, it's got a much nicer, again, the one on the left more hooked and marking that back still, the one on the right, a little bit more of the European line.
Do you find they pair well together if you get that Huxley Marchant type bird with the back skull and the big blow to the continental bird, which is a bit different? How do you find they match together when you're literally pairing them together for the first time?
Not so much for the first time. Sometimes they do, if you're lucky. It's more a generation later. It's more the generation later that I find that it comes out a bit better. You start getting a bit of the mix. So, for example, the glue on the perch there, he was paired into a. In fact, I'll get a youngster as well. So he was paired into the daughter of. I think he's related to the light green. I'll just check to get you more. You'll see the difference in the birds. So we'll take the big one out. He's still molting. What is it? So the young one that's on the perch, he's got the length come through, and he's got a bit of the long side, but he hasn't quite got the width that's come through on the top. So and he hasn't quite got the back stroke. So you've got one side of it really. It's really a case of trying, hopefully next year, tearing that back in again. I think it will pull through. I mean, it's not a bad shot, but it's not molted yet. It's not a bad bird.
So would you pair that back to an English bird rather than pairing it the other way back into continental? Obviously, well, I'm guessing you're bringing in continental to go in with your English birds. So again, I'm guessing when you produce the offspring, those offspring then go into English birds after that, yes?
It depends. Yeah, it depends what they. It depends what their features are. So in his instance, yeah, ideally a hen that's got similar features to his dad. But if it was the way around, then I'd pair it more back into the European. But in that instance, yes, it would probably go into a bit more of a thicker back, a bit of back still.
Okay. So you're not just bringing in the European as a sort of a 1 year, have a go, get it in, and then not go back. You're actually going to bring in the European and use them long term, are you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they've got the features. If you look at that denser, he's lacking that. I want that denser dome. I want that denser dome. I can't see him getting that out of the traditional English. So yeah, that's what I've been doing anyway.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for letting us know. Can I carry on letting you just show a few more birds, Adrian, while I've just got to go and do a little job?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, 5.
So going back to the chapters, so cobalt. I haven't got a lot of cobalt, but this is one we bred last year. Obviously, it's been fighting. But just to give you some sort of indication as to the pace at which the recessives have moved forward over the last couple of years, that's split recessives. And probably one of the best youngsters we've bred this year is come on down from here and bred off the recessive. So again, another split recessive. So the recessive is predominantly through the Martin Halen bloodline. With to be fair, Ellis and Matthews, we bought a couple of outcrossings from Ellis and Matthews a couple of years ago, and that paired back into now paired into the Martin Halen. That's really where the recessive is leaped forward. It's probably the fairest thing to say. And that, I would say that's probably one of the biggest step changes we've made, the fastest step changes we've made in the recessive.
So what's your pairing strategy for the recessives, Adrian?
What, sorry?
Your pairing strategy, a recessive to split, split to split, or recessive to recessive?
or typically always recessive to split. It's very, very rare I'll pair recessive to recessive. I think I've only ever done it once. And ironically, I might do it again. I think I'm going to pair back up again before soon, shortly. I might pair recessive to recessive again. But typically, recessive to split always. Yeah. Never. It's not often I go split to split.
And are you rejecting the second generation splits, or are you finding they're getting good enough to keep and continue breeding with now?
They're coming to it. So, when you say second, what you mean second generation down from the Martin Halers, is that?
No. So if you pair a recessive out to normal to breed your splits,
Yeah.
you pair those splits back to your recessive. Do you automatically disregard the second generation splits you've bred from split to recessive, or are you finding they're good enough now that some of those you're keeping and wanting to pair back again?
I will keep good enough to keep them pair back again. So, to give you an example. I'll just take them out for a minute. So this is what I would class as in that analogy. This is what I would class as a second generation split. It's a baby this year. So a baby cinnamon grey hen, and to me.
So that's worthwhile pairing back in again.
I think that'll go back into. Well, yeah, that'll probably go to the blue recessive. That I showed you earlier on.
Adrian, what would you expect to get from that then? If that's a cinnamon recessive split, and you put it back to a blue recessive, what would you expect to get out of that?
Well, I know he's the top split recessive. Split cinnamon. So obviously, I'll expect to get cinnamon and normal recessive and split. So I'll get both. I don't mind cinnamon recessives, if I'm honest. I think they're okay. Obviously, I had the cinnamon grey recessive hen that won at the club show as a baby last year. Unfortunately, it's a had because he died. In fact, for anyone who saw the hen, I know a few on here who did. So the cobalt cock I just put in the cage, he was the brother of the cobalt cock. So the cinnamon grey hen in there is the niece of that cinnamon grey recessive hen. If I look at the, if I actually pull up some more of that family, because obviously the blue recessive, that of Martin Halers, that's one I bought this year. So I'm still breeding the first generation off those. So these are all off a different top. So this is a baby. This is a baby. Obviously, unfortunately, well, I've put both in. There's two babies, two brothers. Probably never been in a decade. Unfortunately, they've come out black, which is frustration. The two grey green infested babies just come out their first molt. So they're off the same off the Martin Halers infested I bought the year before, and that's what bred that cock. And I'll put him in the cage in a minute. He's the one that bred down the best of splits and the better recessives last year. Not quite as good this year, the young, but to be honest, I think the hen that he was paired wasn't as good this year as that. They're still useful recessive. I will use, obviously, despite the flexing, I will use both of those. I'm going to get it bad.
Talking about flecking, what's your
Sorry, George, I think your microphone's not great. There was a question about flecking in the recesses, Adrian, but I couldn't get the rest of it, George. Sorry.
Was there a question?
George has one, Adrian. He's just trying to sort out his bike.
Okay.
It was me, sorry, my microphone was playing up. And more about flecking in general. Obviously, you know, you're using it because it's recessive. What about in your general wider stud? How do you manage it, or do you know, mind, or where do you stand?
I mind it because obviously we do a lot of showing, so we want to minimise the flecking as much as possible. But I would never eradicate it completely. I think you need a level of. I think flecking is a consequence of features that you need in the bird, unfortunately. You just got to try and manage it out as best you can. I won't say I've made mistakes. I think this pair, for example, was a mistake in hindsight because the top's not badly flecked, but I know he's carrying a little bit of it, and the Henry's pair too wasn't perfectly clean either. So that was bad management, but you just need to try and manage it out, and I try and do it as best I can. Mistakes happen, but I try and do it as best I can. The father of these is the one on the left, which is the one I brought in. And I've got the two on the right. But yeah, I mean, obviously flecking, whether it be flecking or whether it be the zebra marking across the top of the head, flecking, it's obviously a little bit more prone on recessive. But you've got to, there's no excuse really, you've got to try and manage it out.
Do you find the flecking then, Adrian, tracks the recessives and the splits they breed are normally clean then from these pairs?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Yeah, I do. Quite often. I'd say most of my splits, with a couple of exceptions in the hens, most of the splits are clean. But yeah, it just seems to come through more on the recessive. That could just be a bit of genetics for that family, I don't know. But certainly, but it also depends a little bit on because it's not such a good bird, but I was going to say it also affects the marking, but it's not always like that.
Do you think we should continue to allow the zebra markings on recessive pies, Adrian?
No, I want to get rid of it. Okay. But it's very. I think. I mean, I'm no way into it recessive pies. I'm not breeding that long. But I don't think because of the level of variation across the markings. I mean, for example, I've bred off one pair in one round. I've bred 3 recessive grey cocks. One's virtually not marked at all. One's nicely marked, and one's black and flecked. And it's just that range of the variation through them. So I don't think you're going to eradicate it completely, but I'm trying.
Sorry, Adrian or Ian, Ian, if you ask that question, I don't breed recessives. I don't actually quite know what you mean by zebra markings.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's like 2 features. So you've got traditional flecking, but also you've got where the variegation starts to come through, so it's more lines across the top of the head, where that variegation is going through. And for me, that's not true flecking, it's just the variegation of arbor. I think that's the way I look at it anyway.
I think if you're like a dominant, sorry. Bit like a dominant pie that hasn't got spots. It's because it's a variegation of markings, but it will get put down on the show bench. And so now the recessives get put down because they've got markings in the head that are what we call zebra markings against heavy flecking. Yeah.
I think I would, if I was going to describe the difference, if there is one, is that your zebra marking extension tends to be more horizontal lines, whereas your flecking is the sort of more traditional vertical lines on the front of the cap, as it were. So the zebras tend to be more extension from the back. And that's been an age-old problem, you know, for the last 20, 30 years in the variety, but it is one that comes out in the visuals in an annoying fashion, like you've got in that baby Adrian there.
Yes. And it was more acceptable in the past, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it's not anymore.
Sorry, so just taking that bird that's in the cage at the moment that we can see on the perch. Sorry, I missed a little bit of the conversation there. The zebra markings, they're the ones that are on the back of the neck?
No, they tend to come more forward over the head. So that way you see that marking across the back of the neck. What you sometimes get is that moves forward.
Okay.
Yeah, so when it moves forward, it's now on the crown, and it's now in essence a fault-like flecking.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I don't think I think that you were saying it's similar thing. It's not true. The bird probably isn't actually flexed behind it, but it's still a fault that you don't want to, especially if you stay away from it. But I don't think that. I think I suppose what we're trying to say is I think flecking you can probably manage out. I think the zebra marking is a little bit of a result of it being a recessive size. I mean, the thing is, you say about would I use them? So a couple of years ago, I bred some very nice, clean recessive pops, beautifully marked. The whole family came out the same, but they were very tighty. They didn't have the feather, and as much as they were probably quite nice variety marked recessive, they're not the quality of budget that I'm after. So I'm sort of trading, unfortunately. I'm trading to get birds with a bit more feather, which unfortunately I'm getting through as a result of a little bit of fleshing for birds that are nicely marked. It's trying to get that balance.
Adrian, if you don't mind, I can share a screen of one of my young recessors, which I would say is zebra marking extension more than flecking for the benefit of the people. And you can decide whether you think it's flecked or not. So, flecked or zebra markings?
Both.
Yeah, I would say I'd say it had a level of flexion at least.
Don't be afraid to just say it as it is, Adrian. Kevin can take it. He dishes it out in others.
If it's a good budgie, it's zebra markings. If it's a poor one, it's flecked.
With Adrian here, I don't think he's ever marked. I think he's flecked. I mean, this one, I'll put this one in my hand. If you look at, do you see it? There you go, a bit closer. There's a recessive. So he's lovely marked in the wing. Oh, there you go, look at that. Nice wing marking. I bet this is again another baby, but again, it's zebra. I think I would say on this one, so the zebra has come forwards a bit, but I'd say it's also flecked on the footing.
Yeah. Shall we move on to a different variety, perhaps, for other people who don't keep recessive? Should we do that?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same. It's a different style of pie. So, dominant pies. So we really struggled for years to breed any dominant pies. We didn't have any for a long, long time. And all of a sudden, we've got quite a few of them. So I'll say Cobalt dominant pie adult. Again, quite long feather on him. You can't really see it, but he's got quite a long all over. Let's just put it that way. All the features are quite long in feather. But quite useful. He's been quite a useful bird, and that family has been quite useful. Unfortunately, the last of that generation left. He didn't breed last year, but he bred really well this year. So that's been quite fortunate. So that's dominant pie from the adult side of things. If we go to the babies. The irony is with him is I haven't actually bred a dominant pie. They've all been normals, but I have bred some dominant pies. It's just come out of a pair that's been a bit fortunate. So we've put together just with a bit of a chance pair. Probably everyone has a couple of those that put down, go out, might throw something useful, don't know. That's one. I think all they bred, I think, was dominant pies. I think they bred about half a dozen or more dominant pies. So actually, they are slightly different family lines. The Cobalt pie is more Harry's blood, whereas the Sky pie, the baby Sky pie, is a little bit more native European, if you like, rather than a bit diluted to Harry's. So very big bird for you, very big bird.
Did you say you had any offspring off this Cobalt this year?
I have, yeah. I've had about half a dozen or so, but they've all come out as normals. The sad thing is, I did actually breed a violet off him.
He does look single factor violet, at least to me.
Yeah.
On the camera, I can't tell. Perfect screen.
Yeah. He has been marked up as on one of the CPs. He has been marked up as a violet spot. I think he's I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I'll be surprised if he's violet, but then if he's not violet, I don't know how I'll just bred a violet.
So could we see one of the offspring of his, even if it's a normal, or is that?
You can.
Is that complicated?
Yeah, exactly. They're at the bar head at the moment. Well, this is definitely never doing a showcase.
Adrian, because he's bred you so many normals, would you consider pairing him to another pied?
No, never.
You never breed pied to pied?
I would never put pied to pied.
Okay.
I'd never. Because you're going to get, they're going to come out like rosettes, double factor pies. So I wouldn't, no.
There are people that seem to do it. It's same as opaline to opaline, isn't it? It's some people do it, and others are totally against it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's just my opinion, but or my preference, if you like. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Do you believe it would be like I would say a lot, like some mutations whereby if you go visual to visual, you can go backwards? Do you feel that dominant pieds are in that club?
I don't know. I don't know if the quality and the markings you get that. For the double factors, the markings are going to be essential. I don't really want double factor done, especially not with the recessive double factor. It's just a variety thing more than anything. If we go a little bit, let's go a little bit left field. So lace wings. So obviously we've got a small number of lace wings across the stud. That's just baby hen. I've got a couple more adult cocks around here somewhere, but obviously, as I say, it's not just the normal line that we've got all the pies, but we've got a few of the other varieties as well. So a small number of lace wings. We've actually got a small number of spangles now, believe it or not. They're not one of my main lines of spangles. I've got very few spangles left. I think I've only got one double factor spangle. And then also I've got a couple of clear bodies. I've actually bred my first ever Lutino this year by Dilute. Albinos, got a couple of albinos. So we've got a few of the varieties as well.
Adrian, I suppose I have to ask this question really because you brought out the lacewing, but in your view, lacewings, are they a true variety or are they cinnamon enos?
I think they're a true variety.
Do you think they're a true variety? Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I don't think if you compare cinnamon to a Lutino, I don't think you're going to get a true lacewing.
Okay, carry on, sorry. Just thought I want to get that one in. How many lacewings did you say you had? You were breeding with, Adrian?
Well, I think I had 2 pairs down. I think that was it. But not many. Not many. It might have been maybe 3, but no more than that, certainly.
So is this your bird room we're in or Emma's?
This is mine.
Yours, okay. Does Emma keep any dilutes?
So she does keep dilutes, yeah.
I only say that because they're a favourite of mine, so.
Yeah, so I say that because the dilutes have been really trouble dilutes the last couple of years. Weeding of them has been found really hard. So I'll put it in the showcase, but it's a little bit of a cheat because those who've seen our birds before will know that he's an old boy. He's a bit faking in this one. So he, as a baby, he never grew a tail. So I never showed him as a baby. The second year, he was complete every week. Went out, won a lot of CCs, came to the champion bird pretty easily, to be honest. Obviously, we didn't show against Dave. Then the following years, he's never had a tail again. So he's only ever had a tail one year, and he's never been out since. He breeds well. So he breeds well, but again, he's a bit of a funny bird. So he seems to only ever breed if our parents are green. I couldn't get anything out of him the first year. His head bleed. Whenever a parents are blue, it's clear. Whenever a parents are green, it feels like classic. So I don't know. That could just be sheer coincidence, but he definitely has only ever bred with a green before.
I notice he's very clean. Do you find, you and Emma, when you're breeding with dilutes, that they are I can't think of the word, but I wouldn't say that they hide flecking, but they seem to suffer with it less. Does that make sense? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But...
No, I'm not convinced. You see it, obviously, you see it less because it's diluted. It's more grey. But I think it's still there. I mean, I'll run next door and catch a hen. Which will see what I mean. She's next door because she's a bit of a nasty so she's not coming my way. But
John, while you're there, and as you said that you love your dilutes, I haven't purposely bred any dilutes. But I've been told that I have some, or I have one. How do you define a dilute?
It's either visual or it's not. I'm not sure what you mean. You mean how do you describe a dilute?
Yeah, please. I mean, I haven't really come across dilutes, so I've got a really nice, what I would call milky cinnamon, if that's a phrase to use.
Well, that's a toughy one, really, without seeing them. But I mean, the dilute, take it by the name. It's the colours of the bird. It should be a diluted. Maybe I could ask Sam Wiles to come in on that, because I think he'd probably answer that question better than me. Sam, can you ask that? How do you describe a dilute?
Well, a dilute, or yellow or white as we call them, and as we class them as, they are, as the word as we call them now is diluted, that they are diluted from top to bottom. But compared to like a cinnamon, as you'd class it as, the coloration is more of a pale grey, and the wings, the tails, the markings are different to any other variety out there.
Thank you, Sam. That sort of explains it to me, and I definitely got a dilute up there then.
That's good. Thank you. Yeah, well, I hope you do well, and obviously get it. Probably best bet to get it to a normal and breed your splits and go from there. If you've only got the one, you haven't got much choice really, unless you know of any other possible splits in your aviary.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any of the splits, so it's we'll see how it goes.
Well, I think with only one dilute, whatever you do, you're going to need to buy something in, aren't you? Really, yeah. If you breed it with a normal, you're going to breed a load of splits. You don't want to be putting brother and sister together. Absolutely. So really, in the near future, you need to buy in either a visual or obviously a split. Anyway, going off of this, is Adrian back?
I am back.
Adrian, carry on.
That's open dilute, grey, it's grey yellow hen. But I call out to say about the flecking, John. So you can see it is slightly harder to see. I agree, because it's more grey, but she has got a bit of flecking in the head still.
Yeah, I've got someone's Glenn Hawthorne's put his hand up here. Have you got a question, Glenn? Is it about dilutes you wanted to ask? Somebody unmute Glenn. Anybody see Glenn?
I can see him, but I can't unmute him.
I can't see him at the moment. Can you wave, Glenn? Where are you?
No, John, I was just messing about with my settings and hadn't come up for some reason.
Oh, okay then, Glenn. Thought you had a question about the dilutes. All right.
So no, so we have struggled a bit with dilute so last year. We've read a couple of videos, but nothing really fantastic. Which is why I didn't have many to put in the showcase. There's the old bloom, and I'll say still breeding, it's ready again this year. In fact, we've got one that's not took away now. But it's definitely hard going. There's a surprise that Henry comes.
And out of interest, are your Dilute family more the European style or the English style?
What, in the Dilute?
Yeah.
It's really been English, to be honest. I haven't really, well, as far as I'm aware, from where we bought them from. But I have had a couple in from Harry, but I think his came in from a European. Sorry, from a more English source as well. So I think they're more English. I haven't really paired them in the European. You know.
Is that something you'd look to do, or have you got other priorities with your European ones?
Yeah, pretty much that. I've got more question priorities. They will, if they're good enough, go into the European, but I've got other priorities really. I don't want to put the second into one, so yeah, it's just a case of making do with what we've got.
Yeah.
Any more questions about? Well, yeah. Have you got some other varieties to show us, Adrian, or do you want to take a few questions?
No, can we take some questions?
All right, then. Let's just see what we've got here. Cock to hen ratio kept at the end of the year. What do you keep?
I try and keep 2 to 1 price. I've failed miserably over the last few years. I just haven't had the quality of hen. So, if anything, I'm having to cut back the number of pairs because of the number of decent hens I've got. So, I try and go 2 to 1 if I can.
Right, yeah. And what about per cage? If you've got, so I don't know how many cages there, but if you've got, say, 40 cages, how many cocks and hens do you keep to those cages?
Yeah, I don't, probably a dozen cocks over and above the pairs. And then hens, yeah, I'll go for about, I try and get to about 80 odd hens.
Right.
But from, I tend to, I'm really poor at cooking back as hard as I should. It needs must a bit at the minute because of myself, I'm a bit low on hens. So, but normally it's about a dozen more cocks than I'm trying to tell.
Okay. Talking about breeding with cocks and hens, what age do you start breeding with your cocks and your hens, babies, or youngsters, I should say?
Hens 9 months. I'll try to get to 9 months. It's very rare I'll go before that if I can help it. Cocks, to be honest, I'll go with a cock. If you look, I'll go with the cock if he looks right. So if he's got an iris, if he looks ready, then I'll go with the cock. But to be honest, just because of the routine of when we pair up, it's yes, they're probably a similar sort of age, but I'm less fussy with cocks. So as long as they're they're looking right, then I'll pair them up if I want to.
Okay. Regarding each year, what's your percentage of the young birds that you bring in? So obviously you say 19 breds. How many would you? What percentage of 19 birds would you breed in year 2000? That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't really do it that way, so I can't really answer that. I'll just go through and keep the best 50 odd tops. So if I've got a very good year with the quality of the young, then it'll be a higher percentage of the birds that year. I know a lot of people they'll move on the old birds and always younger.
Yes.
I don't do that. I'll just keep the best 50. So we'll try to. So this, for example, this year might be a little bit higher of young birds. Last year I didn't use many of last year's birds too. Last year's quality was quite poor. Here in my area, this is why I brought a few of the birds down from the boat.
Okay, going off of this subject, going back really to a subject earlier on, when we were doing food, somebody asked, and I think you did mention about because you'd run out of calcium, you didn't put it in your soft food, but that sort of made me think, how many or what additives do you give? Vitamins, minerals, etc. I don't think we talked about that, or did I miss a lot of it?
Well, I don't really. So I always, if I hadn't run out, I'd always put in calcium up. Or calcium, sorry. So I'd always put calcium powder in. Vitamins, I'll use some form of additive, vitamin additive to build them up in the run up to the breeding season. Whether it be Fertilite, whether it be the AV Smart, well, something that I'm AV Smart at the moment. So I'll use some of that. Once they start breeding and it's going, fertility is good, I'll then start cooking it off. I just stick with what I've got. So, but calcium supplement all the way through.
Okay. Rob Cartridge has sent me a message and he's asking you how you see the future of the bird, the modern bird. Bigger, better, smaller, fault-free. A bit of an obvious one at the end there, but yeah. How do you think they're gonna go? Just I'll add a bit here. There is talk of people starting to come back from that big buff bird that we've been seeing about a bit.
There's lots of ways to answer that question.
I'm sure. Put you on the spot a bit. It wasn't me. It was Rob Cartridge.
I'll answer, yeah. What I want to happen is the birds evolve to come back. They keep the size that's going at the moment. So the big lot, the birds are a lot bigger now than over recent years. So they keep that size, but the feather becomes a little bit more. I suppose the easiest way of putting it is neater. So you haven't got the slump of feather, you haven't got the that bagginess of feather. They come a little bit more shaped, a little more styled. I think we're on the journey to get there though. I think we've got to have to get that broader feather, that better style of bird. I think we need to go this way first and then tidy them up afterwards. So I think it's going to come back a bit in a way, but it'll go different. Rather than this constant line, it'll come round, it'll be more rounded. That's what I think will happen. That's what I hope will happen anyway.
All right, okay.
I don't think we'll go smaller though. I don't think the birds are going to start going smaller again.
No, I mean I always have a little joke. I always have a little joke here because I heard that Daniel Lutoff, who we will have later on this year, by the way, doing a talk. But I remember him saying that 4 years ago, he started bringing his birds back, making them smaller, which got me quite excited because I was thinking, well, yeah, oh, that's handy. He'd be bringing them back to my size then. Anyway, my little joke, but that's what he said at the time. So he started doing that 4 yeers ago.
Yeah, what would be interesting to understand is, does he actually mean physical size, or does he actually mean size of, the feather and everything?
I don't know.
Because I think bringing them back a little bit finer, but finer in shape, is probably where we're going to, they're not, we'll still keep the length. I think if we get our force to the bird to be smaller, then I think that could help.
Right. Okay. This next question is it's not really political, but it's certainly something we haven't covered tonight. Totally different. And Rob Cartridge again asks, with the expansion of the hobby worldwide, which it really has expanded, isn't it? For those that get messages from Pakistan each day, how important a role should we be taking in that expansion worldwide? Because our own hobby seems to be, well, what shall I say, quietening down, and it's expanding the rest of the world. How much can we do ourselves to sort of keep in there a bit and have something to say? Maybe we should be more involved with the WBO.
I haven't really got a view to answer. I think there's a lot of experienced people in the hobby in the UK that have a lot to offer. Whether that's through the WBO, I couldn't comment. But whether it's through some form of improved networking, it's going to come. Look at what's going on today. It's going to come. Then, yeah, absolutely. I think we've all got a part to play in that. Whether it's through a formal organisation or whether it's through small, I don't think it really matters to me. I think it's just the way it's going anyway.
Yeah, I suppose we could say how long before we're buying from the Pakistanis, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it's going to afford them, but yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a fair question in the way that it is expanding around the world, and it's not expanding here. So is it something we're doing wrong or something they're doing right?
That's a good question. I don't know. They've been doing this differently. I don't know. Possibly, I don't know. But if you look at how we're more networked now with, I'm just going to say, look at how we're more networked now with people around Europe. And that's only going to expand. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. We're going to carry on. I'll try and make them a little bit easier. Do you think there should be a maximum size for the BS ideal? This is from Gareth Jones.
No.
Okay. Do you think that?
Did you want me to elaborate on that? Sorry.
No. Well, if you want to.
No, I don't.
Okay then, right. Question 2. Do you think there should be less shows in the UK? Most averages 400 to 500 birds to a show. What's it say? And you only have 20 shows maximum with a potential of 1,000 in each show. So I think he's saying there, should we, in your view, should we have less shows, maybe only 20 in a year, and have a lot more birds per show? No, right?
Obviously, I'm going to say no to that one because we enjoy doing showing. But I think
you like
the
showing.
reason I say no to that is, but there's more to it than that. The reason I say no to that is, how would you do that? So you've got, if you look at, we go over in certain areas of the country that don't have a lot of shows because of where they are in the country. So I just don't know how I don't know what benefit you're going to get from that. And also, if you look at the way in which the club, it's very much a club hobby, really, isn't it? You know, look at what you guys are doing here, look what you're doing here. It's a club hobby. It's not, so why would we want to change it? Why would we want to I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I knew you were going to say that because I know you love your showing like Nicola and I do. And
but
yeah.
also, but you know as well as I do, John, we go around all the shows. How many different people do we honestly see? If you put down the number of shows, what's it going to be? It's not going to get more people at the same show because it's the same faces every week, typically.
Nicola Bird, I think, has raised a hand and has a question or a comment.
Yeah, more of a comment. I just didn't want to be tarred in that same brush as I like showing. I can't stand it.
Yeah, sorry, Nicola. I was talking for myself. Oh, did I say you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I like showing.
Well, I thought I did, but there you go.
No.
Right. Nicola doesn't like showing birds, but I do. But anyway, yeah.
Nicola doesn't like showing. She'd much rather breed.
Defo.
Then, yeah, have we got any more questions? I've sort of run out on that lot. Let's have a look on the chat. Is there anything? No, anyone want to unmute themselves and ask a question or two while I see if I can find some more?
I had a question from right back at the beginning. And I noticed you had the plastic cages in one bird room, and you've got your look like wood and metal composite cages, and the nest box looked like ply to me. What's your preference? Have you noticed any difference in the maintenance of them, or and do you think that the differences make a difference to the breeding?
I haven't. So the reason we've got different is simply down to evolution, if you like. So the wooden cages in here we built in ourselves. In fact, the arrangement I actually took them from my old age, from my old house, and moved them here. So it's evolution. In Emma's aviary, my granddad took. My granddad was in the birds as well. That took closed his aviary down, so I took his cage. So it's just the way it happened. I haven't experienced any difference in the breeding in terms of cages. I prefer the nest boxes in there. Very often the nest boxes, I prefer those. So rather than the wooden nest boxes we've got here, we made ourselves, which is nothing wrong with them, and that's absolutely fine. I do prefer the actual nest. They're easier to keep clean. They're easier to maintain. So I do prefer those. But the cages themselves, I don't think there's a big difference to them.
And what were the nest boxes next door? Sorry, I didn't catch.
Yeah, the Austrian nest boxes.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, cool. No,
sorry, George, carry on.
No, that was me. I was just wondering out of curiosity more than anything else.
Okay. Adrian, we've had quite a few questions on this, really, and I thought I'd leave it till near enough the end, which is coming up shortly, in case it takes you a while to answer. But a few people have asked you if you could give beginners some advice on how best to start up their stud from scratch.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was starting again, don't rush into buying any birds. I think that's the worst thing you can do. Get around local breeders. More experience, the better. To be honest. So get around, look at what they're doing, looking at what their setups are. Try and get the birds that you like the look of. So try and find birds that people who've got birds that you like, rather than birds that are actually birds that are winning, birds that just birds that you like the style of the type of, and then go down that route and try and stick with those people. Try and get some help basically from local breeders. Get feel for what's going on. Go to the show that you're showing. Go to the show to get to understand it. But yeah, really, the key to me is to spend some time with some local breeders to understand it first. Otherwise, you're going to throw away a lot of money buying birds that aren't going to do you any good.
Lovely. Okay. Damien Currell's asked you a question here. What is your favourite pairing, as in type to type?
Oh, favourite pairing? I haven't really got one, if I'm honest. That's a bit of a rubbish answer, but we don't really agree for variety, to be honest, or colour, so I've really got one. I mean, I've answered it a different way. My favourite bird is outline. I love a clean outline. And I do tend to get more in comparing outline to outline. Which I don't think is a good idea, but I do get drawn into doing it. It's just because I like outline. I wouldn't say that's the best pairing, but that's what I tend to do. Other than that, I don't know. Grey to blue, grey-green to light green. I don't like pairing blue to blue or green to green. I like purple and dark, a grey-green or a grey if I can. I think grey and grey-green tend to have a bit more size on them. Other than that, there isn't really, like as I said, the set is split. Spangles I don't really mind. I'm quite happy to pair Spangles to Spangles, obviously. Yeah, other than that, I haven't really got a preference for it.
Okay. Well, I think I have got one more question, which we will finish on. But thank you, and I'm sorry I had a few awkward questions for you, but I can only put up to you what's put in front of me. So.
But you're going to finish on a better one, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to finish on a really nice one, and that is, how would you? Have you got any ideas how we can attract more juniors into our hobby?
How we can attract more juniors in the hobby?
What can we do?
I don't think there's any way of doing it other than through family friends. I don't know how. I think we get struggle. You know, you can go to try and attract it through schools, etc. I think it's very difficult at the junior level. I think juniors should be. I think we should have to pay for juniors now. So I think all that. You know, I think they should. I think it should be a given that juniors can join and do it for free. But I think it's going to be very hard at that age group to go out and try and pull them in if they haven't already got an incentive to do it through their home life. It's very good. With everything other options for them to do, I think it's very, very difficult.
So you haven't got a magic wand for it? No. Well, Adrian, it's 9:30. I'd like to thank you very, very much for an unbelievably interesting talk, and I know everyone's enjoyed it, and I certainly have. I thank you very, very much. I wish you much luck and success in the future, and I look forward to seeing you, Dad and Emma, back on the show bench next year, because basically I know Nicola's the same. You know, me and Nick, we've missed you all.
Thank you very much. It's interesting you say next year, because that implies there won't be any shows this year.
Well, actually, yeah, I didn't ask that question earlier on, did I? But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about that, yeah, I can't see there being any big shows. You know, there may be something pushed in there at the end of the year, you know, November, December maybe. Yeah, but we'll see.
I'll see you at the Neaton, John.
I'll see you soon. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you everybody else for coming. If anybody wants to stay on and chat for 5 minutes, then by all means do so. And once it all starts to go down, we'll close the meeting. I'll hand over to Kevin Eatwell maybe for second and final word, and end up with Tony Pringle, who will no doubt close the meeting. Thank you again, Adrian.
I'd just like to thank Adrian again for a very entertaining meeting. Thank you for the birds. Thank you for a nice insight into your budgie life, I guess. Yeah, wonderful evening. Thank you very much for joining in on what is we've got a very truly international audience here tonight. So wonderful. Thank you all for attending.
And finally, I'd like to say that we managed to raise £37.50 for the NHS charity, and I'm going to personally make up the difference that it's £50 that we donate. So thank you to everybody. It's much appreciated. I'm sure the NHS charity will appreciate our donation.
Thank you. I bet just before we go, we've just to let you know what's happening in the near future. You are all aware that we have our first show, first of 6, and that's on the 27th of this month. So it's only just about a week ahead. So there'll be some advertisement coming out to you. And the next, what's happening next, Kevin? You're the first Tuesday in the month, aren't you? And you're doing something on calcium, is it?
It's going to be a night on calcium, metabolism, problems and solutions in birds, yes.
And that's the first Tuesday of June.
So 2nd of June.
Yeah, and before that we've got our show. So I hope as many of you as possible will put in a bird into the show. It's only one. You can enter yourselves and pick out the bird that you want to show on the day. So it's any green 2020 rung bird, and it would be lovely to have 40, 50 birds in that show. It'd be wonderful. Pete Smith's doing the judging, and I'm sure we'll have a great night. Instead of all these beautiful photos of you guys, I'd like to see as many as possible budgies inside a showcase live jumping about. Thank you very much, all of you. See you next time.
Thanks very much.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, Tony from California.
Good night, Tony.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Nicky Gal. If anyone wants to stay and chat, I'm all right for a while.
Good night.
Anybody got anything to say? Anyone want to talk about anything? Unmute yourselves and talk. I'm all right for 10 minutes. What about talking to Tanya? Tanya. Hello, Tanya. How you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you very much for the very nice conference.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You sat there very quietly listening.
Yes.
I know the sound was a bit hard sometimes for us English to understand, so you must have found it a little bit more difficult.
Yes, sometimes it's a bit hard, but still I'm trying.
Good. Well, thank you for joining in. Anybody else want to have a chat? Want to say anything?
I'm going to make a move, John.
All right, Adrian, nice seeing you.
See, yeah, managed to get it sorted out in the end.
Yeah. Give my love to Bertie the budgie.
Yeah, he's all right. He's still alive. Hang on.
Right. Hello, Terence Rawlins. How are you? Hang on, I'm going to try and unmute you, Terence.
I think I've done it.
Yeah, you have. How you keeping?
Not too bad. It was interesting. But I've been doing what has been said since I was 7 years old.
And you're about 45, aren't you now, Terry?
21.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were only young still.
No, I'm into my 80s.
No, well done.
But yeah, it's interesting. And as you asked about the style of the birds.
Yeah. So what differences have you seen, Terry?
Oh, well.
In 80 years.
The birds have got too buffy. They're too long feathered. The feathers all over the place. It's not neat and tidy. And I just don't like it. Like you wouldn't like a parrot to look like that.
Right. So what do you do about it? You're breeding what you want to breed then. So it must be difficult for you if you want an outcross.
No, no. If I wanted an outcross, I would go to the person that I think had the birds that I wanted. But old style, I use opaline and cinnamon to keep the finer feathers.
Why opaline for finer feather? Where I can understand the cinnamon, but where do you get the finer feather in the opaline?
No, together.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Not as a normal bird, as an
Okay.
opaline, because you get lovely opaline cinnamons.
Yes.
And the person that used to have a lot of that in my time was Charlie Humphrey and Ernie Sigston.
Okay.
That was the style of birds I liked.
Yeah. So you recognise. So you recognise what being an ex canary man. I always think of yellow and buff. So do you recognise the yellow feather in our budgies?
Yes, definitely.
And you recognise it doesn't necessarily have to come from a cinnamon, does it?
No. No. It can come from the dilutes as well.
Yeah, it's a good point that, because there's some nice fine feathered birds in dilutes. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's very interesting, and I'll be interesting to listen to Kevin's talk on the additives and all the rest of it. That
yeah, calcium metabolisms and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got to hope. I'm sure I'm not letting any secrets out, but we've got a good lineup for this year. We've got I think next month we've got I think it's David Wowan, isn't it? He was on here tonight. David Wowan doing a talk. We've got the McGovern Partnership doing a talk. I mentioned earlier on we had Bev Hutt's coming on. Who else we got? Trying to think. Daniel Lutoff, as I said.
Martin Halen.
Oh, Martin, yeah, I forgot Martin Halen. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I'm sure that Adrian Terheege will like that, having him on. One more that I'm still hoping. He was supposed to come on and have a look on here tonight to see if he liked what we were doing. I didn't see him on unless anyone else did. Anyone see Darren Snell?
No.
No, I didn't. But hopefully he'll be on in September. I did send him the Phil Reaney video to have a look at. So hopefully he's seen that, liked what we did. And with a bit of luck, we'll have Darren Snell, and that'll probably fill us up for this year.
Yeah.
Next year, who knows?
No.
Wait and see. If anyone's got any suggestions, if anyone for a talk, let us know. We'll do our best to get some more in. But we're certainly full up for this year, I think.
That's
good. What about a quiz night?
Well, there's a thought, Matt. Yeah, I don't know how it'd work, but it's certainly worth looking into, isn't it?
We're doing it at the minute for the families. It's an honesty thing. So it is. You get one person putting the questions up. You mark them yourself, and just a bit of fun. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, it's worth a thought if someone comes up with a plan of how to do it. Well, I think that's about it. It's we're getting down. There's only 16 of us left, and everyone's leaving, and it's not far off 10 o'clock. So I think I'm going to go off to finish up, give the birds a little bit of millet, turn the lights off, and I'm going to say goodbye to you all, and then say goodbye to the birds.
Night, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Goodbye.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.